I'm Alex, and I'm going to break down a few tips for starting, progressing, and surviving 7 Days to Die. It's been a bit more than 7 days, but the game has finally hit its full release on PC, and with the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series versions, welcome if you're just jumping in. If you're returning to the game but haven't played in a while, I'm also going to highlight some of the newer changes from the most recent updates. Now, I just started a brand new fresh save file myself, so let's get into it. Okay, step 1. Smack bush, punch tree. Great job. Now open the crafting menu and toggle over to the clothing tab so you're not walking around without this super easy to make armor set. The primitive armor requires just a few plant fibers and wood to craft. Next, find some bird nests on the ground to get some feathers, and then pick up some stones, which let you craft one of the most useful early game tools, the primitive bow, and some stone arrows to pair with it. If your arrows get lodged into the target and don't break, you can actually just rip them right back out and repurpose them to their face. Also, crouching sneak attacks with the bow are going to be the safest and fastest way to eliminate the undead at this early stage of the game. You're going to need some meats to eat, of course, so any wildlife you see, try to account for the fairly severe arrow drop and sneak attack them if you can. A bone knife is going to work a bit better than the axe for harvesting resources from those animals. Now build a basic campfire, put some wood in the fuel section on the right, and then you can roast those meats into charred meats. Not the best meal since it somewhat dehydrates you, but better than nothing. For a melee weapon, I prefer going with the stone spear over the other options. The long reach of the spear is a total lifesaver since it keeps you out of the range of most zombie hugs. You can also poke through exposed sections of doorways to use the building itself as your own personal shield. Make sure you always confirm the kill though, by spotting this XP gain in the bottom right, indicating the target won't be getting back up. For my first character level up, I like to invest 1 point into Spear Master, which increases the spear's damage and gives its alternate hit power attack a chance to slow the target. It also slightly reduces the stamina consumption of each attack with it. Running out of stamina during combat is the most common way to be hit, get overwhelmed, and be dead. Regardless of what your health is at, every zombie scratch is a threat, since it has the potential to give you an infection, shown right here. Infections spread over time if not cured, and lead to some pretty obnoxious debuffs. To remedy that, in your own brain, I need you to toggle on Stump Vision. Stump, that's a stump. Hitting tree stumps with an axe has a chance of yielding a precious jar of honey. These provide a little food, but more importantly, cure a percentage of infection buildup. Always carry honey on you and pop one immediately when you get an infection. Also, always have some bandages or first aid bandages on you just in case you get hit and start bleeding out. If you come across a natural water source, you can take a risk of drinking directly from it. Just free up your hands with an empty inventory slot and you'll see a prompt to drink. However, you're going to want to keep an eye out for a cooking pot, or you can buy one from the first vendor, which I'll show you how to get to in a second. By socketing the cooking pot into your campfire's tools section, you can boil murky water and turn it into perfectly safe, clean water. Just like the real world, always check toilets for questionable water you can stash in your pockets. Just me? Now hold the inventory button or toggle over to the challenges page. If you haven't already, work through all the basics of survival and redeem each one for a pop of experience. Once that top row is complete, you'll be contacted by the nearby trading post, which will then be highlighted on your map. It's important to head over there right away, but if it's nighttime, the location will be closed. Turn in that quest during the day, then ask if they have any special jobs, then take Intro Buried Supplies. Head to the nearby quest objective, whip out that shovel you were given, and start digging in the highlighted area. The circle is going to get smaller and smaller the more you dig, but if you start hitting rock, you've gone down too far. When you find the container, take that back to the trader and turn in the quest. You'll be presented with the option to take a pipe machine gun, rifle, pistol, baton, or shotgun as your reward. This is a guaranteed and easy way to get a firearm and some bullets early on. The pipe machine gun is an automatic that holds 15 rounds. The pipe rifle holds 1 round, it's slow to reload, but pretty good from a distance. The pipe pistol holds 6 shots, and it's pretty good all around. The baton is another melee option, but I recommend you go with a gun if you don't have one yet. And the pipe shotgun holds 1 round. It's slow to reload, but strong point blank. Although your bow and spear are going to be your main combat tools at this point, your guns should be saved for emergency situations only. You can invest a skill point into whichever weapon type you picked, and that'll increase the damage and reload speed and make it more likely to loot its associated ammo type. At the start, you'll have access to building blocks and wooden blocks. Always keep some of the cheaper to craft building blocks in your character at all times though, because you're going to regularly need those to reach higher places. You can also look directly down and jump place these to build a platform into the air. Building blocks can be picked back up after use without destroying them. Removing or destroying blocks that are connected to things works on a structural support system, which can tumble structures entirely over if the supports are removed. So even though the map is made up mostly of cubes, the physics still allow for dynamic destruction of the environment. This can actively work against you or be harnessed to your advantage. The wooden blocks, on the other hand, cost more wood to craft, can't be picked back up, but come with much higher HP. Try to use the wooden blocks when you start building your base, and not those flimsy building blocks, which will easily crumble from just a few zombie bumps. Putting down a land claim block will dictate the main territory of your base. If you don't want to always be seeing this big green area indicator around your base though, you can go up to your land claim block, hold interact, and hide those boundaries from showing. Wooden spikes are also useful early on for protecting the perimeter of your base. I like to keep a stack of wooden spikes on me at all times though, to use during combat. If you're caught off guard or ambushed by a horde, sometimes wooden spikes can totally save the day. These have a snaring effect and deal periodic damage to anything that tries to walk through them. One of the main ways you'll progress your character in 7 Days to Die is by consuming perk books you'll find while scavenging. These will unlock new crafting recipes or give your character permanent passive bonuses. Here, I just got the Night Stalker, which makes it so I'm never weighed down by encumbrance at night. Don't ask me how that works. Keep an eye out for bookshelves, piles of magazines on the ground, and these newspaper dispensers, which have a high probability of yielding perk books. These also let you craft higher tier versions of older items, so make sure you check this toggle arrow to see the improved variants. You'll sometimes come across gear mods for armor and weapons. Pick a piece of gear and hit modify, and any associated mods will have a green highlighted gear symbol indicating they're compatible. This mod I just equipped to my spear makes it so it not only deals periodic fire damage, but also makes it a constant light source that illuminates the area. The devs really like to hide things all over the place in their interior environments. Secret cubbies, little hidden crevices, everywhere. If you ever see a wall panel or a section of an interior that looks like it's kind of bulging out a little bit, that's usually an indicator that something is hidden behind it. Another thing, some items in your inventory can be scrapped, turning them into their basic components. Things like chairs and some decorations can be picked up directly and placed in your inventory, then broken down for an easy chunk of materials. This is called 7 Days to Die because every in-game week, zombie swarms will be trying to attend a surprise party at your base. Actually, the horde heads towards you no matter where you're at, but your base is usually the safest place to defend against it. You'll know when it's the night a horde is coming when the day indicator is highlighted red. Also, the lighting will change to a reddish tint. For your starter base, encircle it with wooden spikes, about 2 or 3 high, and leave yourself elevated platforms that overlook each wall. Then you can easily pick off zombies as they work through your snares or accumulate at your walls without putting yourself in direct danger. Save up your ammo for these weekly raves. Once you find enough perk books that increase your workstation crafting skill, you'll unlock the Dew Collector. Scrap polymers are likely the resource you'll need to find more of to craft it, and you can get those by breaking down things that look plastic or rubbery. After you have enough, the Dew Collector can be placed to automatically collect water over time. If you find or buy the water filter though, that can be socketed onto the Dew Collector to automatically purify that water for you. Now, if you ever hear this sound, Rush outside to look for a passing plane dropping supplies. You'll hopefully be able to spot a large orange glow plummeting from the sky. These supply drops usually have some useful stuff and a collection of perk books. When building your base, you can save on space by stacking your storage containers. If you hold down the Use button in front of one, you can bring up this menu and add a custom name to each one. I like to break them down by industrial man-made things, natural items, food, and item items like consumables and weapons. On the map, you can add your own custom markers, and I like to use these to indicate buildings I've cleared out already by using an X with no description. A building's resources will get restocked over time, but this is useful for your first time through an area. With a ranged weapon equipped, if you hold down the reload button, it'll bring up this menu. That gives you access to different ammo types if you have any in your inventory. With a torch equipped, the secondary attack function lets you place them on walls. Easy way to make your base less creepy. Keep an eye out for police vehicles. You'll need to have lockpicks on you to crack into these, but they often have weapons to claim, sometimes higher tier ones than you can currently craft. Improving the lockpicking skill will lessen the chance the lockpicks break when you're trying to open stuff like that. Now let's talk about the furnace once you're able to craft one. Unlike the other crafting stations, you'll need to smelt the raw materials down before you can start crafting things by dragging them over to the smelting tab on the right. I just provided this furnace with usable iron and clay, which can then be used to start making forged iron ingots. You can use those to craft a claw hammer, which is useful for quickly repairing and upgrading your base. If you break down rocks into cobblestone rocks, you can use the alternate attack input of the claw hammer to quickly upgrade your walls from wood to stone. This can also be done with the basic axe as well, but just a little bit slower. If you have a forged iron ingot in your inventory, you can use that same upgrade mechanic on your basic storage chests, giving them a higher total capacity. When you find or craft a wrench, that can be used to break things down on a more granular level. Like using the wrench on a vehicle, which lets you extract far more resources from it than if you were just smacking at it with an axe. When you come across wheels, the bicycle chassis, and the bicycle handlebars, make sure to not drop or sell those. When you have all those parts, you'll then be able to make your first vehicle, the M26 armored, it's a bicycle. That's at least a little bit faster than jogging everywhere on foot. If you hold the interact button when looking at the bike, it'll bring up this menu. There's extra storage you can find on the bike, giving you more room to stash stuff. If the bike's storage is kept empty though, you can use that interact menu to pick the bike back up into your snuggly oversized backpack. When you get enough perk books to craft the workbench, you can start making better armor sets that come with passive bonuses. If you dig into the details, armor comes in light, medium, and heavy weight, and each individual piece comes with some kind of an additional bonus. But each type of armor also has a full set bonus effect if you have all 4 pieces. Like the full athletic set, requiring you to use less food and water. If you want to know more about each individual armor set, I'll put a link in the description to this useful Reddit post that packages them in a pretty easily digestible way. That shows you the bonus effect that each piece of armor will give you, and its scaling at higher crafting tiers. It also shows you the full set bonus over on the far right. To make these armor sets, you'll need armor crafting kits. You can put those together with armor parts, a sewing kit, and duct tape. The different biomes you'll explore each have an associated difficulty indicated at the top right corner. The starting forest area is going to be the easiest. The burnt forest is going to be a little more challenging. The desert is going to be harder than that. The snow area is an even higher threat, and the wasteland is the potentially most dangerous. If you're generating a randomized map, you can have one biome centered with the others around it, each area more evenly spread out in a circle, or you can have them laid out in a more linear, video gamey progression from easiest on one side to hardest on the other. Or you can just play on one of the pre-made maps and keep the layout unknown. So that's the basics that should get you through your first few weeks of 7 Days to Die. If you have any other useful tricks you like to do at the start of your playthrough, throw them down in the comments for everyone else. Alright, thanks for checking this out today. I'm Alex, and I'll see you next time.